You know what's also good to hear, but kind of crazy. I don't know if I'm like, yeah, this is cool, but like, why? Type of news.
Oh, I'll tell you exactly why. Go ahead and cover it. I'm
So
excited.
Asus announced this week the world's first 500 hertz Nvidia G-Sync display. 500 hertz. You've heard of 144. You've heard of 60.
240.
60 on Xbox. We went to
Let's go,
144.
baby.
Then 240 is the new standard, and now there was talks of like 360, I think, at one point, but now
365, I think.
something like that.
It exists.
Yeah,
It,
yeah.
it exists.
And
That's for
who
sure.
knows? That may even be the new standard. I don't know. At 500, crazy. There's like I feel like unless you have a top of the line build, there's really no reason to get this monitor yet. But with the new like 40 series cards coming out, you're definitely gonna benefit from this. But
Mhm.
it's like, if you have an older build, I wouldn't even bother. It's kind of news is just like just give it a couple years and you'll probably it'll make more sense. But dude, I mean Rogue, I mean Asus Rogue, like Republic of Gamers, like dude, they they always come out with the nuttiest hardware.
That's the point, is to be the cutting edge, leading the charge to innovation.
Yeah,
That's what they're
exactly.
going for, and I hope they don't mess it up.
Yeah. So just I'll read the top line paragraph too. And actually, before I even read that, I said the announcement comes this was just over 2 years since Nvidia and Asus teamed up to introduce the 360 hertz gaming monitor. That was at CES 2020. That was 2.5 years ago now, almost. That they introduced 360. And now we're at 500. Saw a prototype of the 500 gaming monitor early this year. Asus is promising a shipping 24-inch 500 hertz TN panel that's designed for esports titles running at 1080p. I think that's like a very important piece there. But I think it also makes the most sense. Like,
Mhm.
you're never gonna hit 500 frames in 4K, at least not yet, or like
No,
1440p is even difficult. So, no surprise that it's 1080p focused. Um, but yeah, there's even a little like video here that that Nvidia made showing it off in Valorant. I don't know how much you'll like. I mean, you can tell when they slow mo it, but like of course you're not. If it was full speed, you wouldn't notice. Um, but yeah, they kind of slow it down, and you see 144 hertz at the bottom. Very very choppy. It looks like 240 is definitely better if it's still choppy. Then 500 is like the smoothest thing you've ever seen in your life. um, always marketing. I mean, you take it with a grain of salt. I mean, until you see it in person, it's probably be hard to tell. But I mean, even the jump from 240 to 500, I'm sure it's noticeable, but like, I'm curious as to how noticeable, Um,
I have so many opinions.
I mean,
All right,
I'd love to hear it.
okay, let me get into it. First of all, I'm glad they did this video in slow mo on YouTube, because on YouTube you can only publish videos at 60 frames a second.
Right.
So to do the comparison of 500, 240, and 144 at a normal speed is moronic, because you'll never be able to see the difference. So you
Right.
have to slow it down in order to see the difference. And that's what they're showing there, is it looks choppy. It's actually in reality smoother than what you're seeing, because YouTube's doing 60 frames a second, but you have to slow it down to see it. Now,
Yeah.
that's just YouTube. The human eye can see up to 1,000 frames a second. Okay.
Yeah.
So basically, what we're going to get to is, and for those that don't know, 1 frame per second is pretty much equal to 1 hertz for refresh rate. So, or frequency. So the entire point is to build hardware that matches what the human, like the average human, can do. So the limit of like our headphones, our monitors, our controllers is entirely limited on like reaction time for controllers, or like mouse and keyboard for controller inputs and stuff. Not controller inputs, but key inputs is based on reaction time for the human. So we're like already there. And then at this point, they're just trying to make it comfortable and aesthetically pleasing. We're behind on monitor, graphic card, and frequency response time and stuff.
Mhm.
So that's only going to get better.
Yeah.
So I think it's gonna max out at 1,000 hertz, and they're just gonna
Yeah.
call it like 1 megahertz, and then like a tenth of a millisecond response time. Like
Yeah.
that's basically where I feel like is gonna be the end point and
Yeah.
the goal. Yeah, you can definitely notice the difference,
Mm,
but it's to what degree, right?
yeah,
So it's like if you play for an entire month straight at 144 hertz and then go to 240, you're going to notice that. It's not
oh
going to be
yeah,
as significant as going from 60 to 120, where
yeah,
60 to 144 is going to be like ridiculous.
yeah, night and day.
Um, it's completely wild. So it like the 5000 or the 500 hertz G Sync display doing 1080p. That's for first person shooters. That's all that is.
Yeah, yeah,
Because wherever like reaction time matters the most, that's what they're going for.
right, yeah.
So
Yeah, and they
I'm
talk
a
about that in the article. Hey, this is like
Mhm.
it's a very sports focused. Like you're
Oh
playing
yeah,
CS:GO, you're playing Overwatch, you're playing Valorant, like that type of thing.
yeah. You're not gonna need this, by the way, for like League of Legends or StarCraft.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you can bop kids doing 60 hertz. Like,
Yeah, for real.
that game is more like chess, whereas
Yeah.
we're over here playing like I don't know hockey. Something like super intense reaction time.
Yeah.
Um,
Um. So yeah, there's definitely a market for it. It's definitely targeted towards high end esports. Um. And they go into a little more detail about how Nvidia captured the footage for comparison. They used a Phantom VO 640S motion camera to prove the frame
yep.
difference. This camera comes equipped with 72 gigabytes of RAM to allow it to record Valorant gameplay at up to 1,000 FPS. Nvidia claims the new 500 monitor will make target tracking easier thanks to smoother animations, and less ghosting should minimize distractions during games. The real key with any high refresh rate monitor is reduced latency, and Nvidia claims you'll be able to see players peeking out of cover quicker than someone using a 240 Hz or a 144 Hz monitor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how it works.
Yeah.
That's 100% true. The do you ever watch this YouTube channel? I think it's called Slow Mo Guys.
Yeah. I've seen
Yeah,
some of their stuff.
so they have those nutty like cameras that does something like 100 gigs a second because they're taking like 10,000
Yeah.
frames or something.
Yeah.
It's like it's nuts. But that's basically what they had to record with because you can't do screen capture with that.
Yeah.
No
Yeah. No.
shot.
Um,
So
Yeah. One more thing the article also mentions is that rumors suggest that Nvidia is going to launch. They're launching. Of course, we mentioned it last episode. They're going to launch the 4090 hopefully this summer in July, which would be the kind of ideal companion for this level of panel, just so you can get the max frames and not have issues. So, and at 1080p, it's certainly I think going to be achievable, especially if the rumors we've heard so far are true. With the amount of power that's going to come out of that card. So,
yeah.
very exciting times. Very exciting.
I just want to know how many frames per second can I get on COD and Halo?
Yeah, for sure.
Because those games right now in particular are very poorly optimized. And if I can get up to like 500 frames and see it on a panel, that'd be so nuts.
Yeah, that would be kind of crazy. It's one of the things
It'd be
too. Yeah, it's like
crazy.
games are certainly a bottleneck, and especially some
Mhm.
titles definitely bottleneck. Become a bottleneck even if you have crazy hardware. So I'll be curious to see how like games perform whenever they have like extra power and all that.
Oh
So
yeah.
interesting to see for sure.
Yeah, we're getting there.
We're definitely getting there, without a doubt.